People who have stayed in a relationship after their partner cheated. How was it like after? One of my best friends did this with his now ex-wife, and I helped him through the different stages, until the inevitable breakup happened, after she cheated again. The trust aspect was destroyed. He was constantly paranoid, but he loved her dearly, so he didn't act on it. He just confided in me that it gave him horrible anxiety near constantly. He snuck around and checked her phone, emails, smartwatch, and such every single day. He got good at it too, doing it while she was distracted by other things. He would do pop-in lunches to surprise her, which she thought was sweet, but it was really just to keep tabs. He lost a job because of this. He was convinced she was cheating and left work early one day to make sure, and was fired. His life spiraled like this for 2 to 3 years. He began drinking heavily and smoking a lot. I could appease his need to vent, but nothing I said would ever convince him to just enjoy what he had while he had it. Then one day she left her Apple Watch at home and he went through it like usual and found she was having sex with a guy they both knew for a long time. He tried suicide that day. Didn't work. I got him in some therapy and finally got him to divorce her. His mentality is all fucked up from it in a lot of ways, and he's lost a couple of decent relationships because of the trust issues that are burned into his brain. People don't realize how much damage this can do to other people. I was the cheater. It wasn't a physical affair, but it was an emotional one. Also, no sexting or pics, but sexually charged conversations that were probably going to lead there eventually. I had a friend confront me about it and said while they weren't planning on telling my wife, they encouraged me to cut off all contact with the woman and to tell my wife. So I did. Sat her down, told her about it. Offered to let her look through my phone so she could know, and told her she could ask as many, or as few, questions as she wanted about it. Then I signed up for therapy and she signed up for therapy too. We were going to do couples therapy also, but we couldn't afford it. We had a period of several months where she didn't like me, didn't want to spend time with me. I kept trying to be like, but I changed. I'm not doing it anymore. But she just needed some space. Finally, at one point I realized I was trying to force a happy relationship. So I told her, I haven't let you take the space you need. The only thing I want in the world is for us to be okay. I never want to be with anyone else. But I also know I broke your trust, and so if you decide you need to leave me, I understand and it's okay. I want us to be together, but I also don't want you to feel like you have to stick around after I broke your trust. So whatever you need to do, I support it and I'll do what I can to make it easier for you. She told me she was committed to staying. And something about that conversation seemed to have helped. We started spending a lot more time together. We both kept going to therapy for a while and then both decided we felt okay about where we were. We started doing more stuff together and things felt really happy again. One night about 6 months after that conversation, about a year after when I told her about the affair, we were laying in bed and I was about to fall asleep and she just said, I don't think I told you yet, but I forgive you. I think I realized it a few months ago, but I wanted you to hear me say it. That was maybe the best moment of my life. That was about 18 months ago and we've been doing much better since then. I have had zero contact with the woman I had been talking to, and while I do still have close female friends other than my wife is part of the friendships rather than totally separate. We have way more fun together now and we addressed a lot of the issues that I think led me to feeling lonely and wanting to step outside of our relationship in the first place. We still deal with issues, but we're doing very well. She didn't have to stick with me, but I'm so glad that she did. We're closer than we've ever been. Anyway, I don't blame anybody for leaving after an affair. I think that's a totally fair response to being cheated on. But I also have experienced how a relationship can heal, and I'm really grateful for a wife who saw me being a shitty partner and decided to love me anyway. Each time chipped away at me until I literally couldn't feel anymore. I had an internal war every day of loving this woman immensely and resenting her with every ounce of my being for ruining my freedom of loving her. I couldn't heal. I couldn't be intimate. I had to care less and less so that if, when, it happened again it wouldn't fucking destroy me. It destroyed me anyway. She treated me like I had issues, like there's something wrong with me for not being able to be intimate or loving or interested in doing things anymore. Then she cheated days after I finally saw a counselor. I had to make the break permanent, otherwise I might have stayed. She got all the support, her family and friends vilified me for breaking up with her. She started dating someone before we even left our apartment, who she's still with and probably treating the way I should have been treated now that she had me as a lesson, and I've never been the same. Can't be close or intimate with anyone. Don't even want to be. Something broke inside. Maybe it'll come back someday, but honestly I don't care if it doesn't. The sick part of all this is that I still miss her deeply, and I'm angry at myself for feeling that. She cheated and got pregnant. The family of the ex she cheated on me with denied the child was theirs. I mostly stayed for the kid because I couldn't believe they could just leave a child like that. When it happened, I was living with them and she was visiting her ex because she already previously had a child with him, and their setup was she would visit every weekend. Due to issues with her father, they ended up kicking her, and by default me, out of the house. She stayed with me and my family for a year, but she had her own issues she had to work out, and it was clear she found no problems with her issues, showing zero interest in changing or growing with me, made it difficult living with her. After a year, she couldn't take it anymore and moved back in with her family, leaving the kid with us, and I couldn't be happier. She was never in the right mindset to raise a single child, let alone two, and I couldn't be happier where, my family and I, are the ones raising my daughter. Finding a new partner has been challenging, and I no longer have the confidence in myself that I once had when I was in college, but being with my daughter has been extremely enjoyable while also being enlightening. A complete waste of time. I said before it happened I would never stay in a relationship after that, then it did happen and I did try staying in it because it's always harder to have perspective in that situation, first and only time so far that it's happened. Obviously it was never the same and I just wasted more of my time pursuing something that didn't really exist. Forgive and forget. It's extremely hard to let go of a relationship, but once the trust is gone it never comes back fully. Then you also have to deal with the anger of the betrayal, which again never really goes away completely. Even if you make a lot of progress in getting over it, you still have to contend with what the relationship should have been had it never happened. Best course of action is to end the relationship and try to avoid falling into the trap of hating the cheater. You will at first, of course, but over time you can begin to recognize that the person who cheated wasn't who you thought they were, never will be, and to try and be grateful for the good times. Sounds cliche, but I found it's true. Also, cut contact. Keeping a dialogue just delays the healing process, even if it feels more comfortable in the moment. A lot of hard work and recovery. Trying hard to forgive him and forgive yourself for whatever shortcomings and insecurities you now think you have. Trying to figure out if they are really remorseful or just sad they got caught. Even trying to figure out if it was just sex or did they care about the other person. I forgave my husband, but he did it again anyway. I then in turn had my revenge affair, and honestly if he would have simply given me a divorce I wouldn't have cheated in return. I also learned that his constant accusations of me cheating was out of his fear he would get caught, so in return he tried very hard to control me as in where I went, who I talked to, and almost never let me go anywhere without him, using the excuse that he didn't trust me, but in truth he was afraid someone would tell on him. It took a long time for the trust to come back, and in my case that was a mistake. Although I do know some couples that seem to have worked through it and have a stronger relationship, I can only say I regret staying in my marriage as long as I have, and tonight is the first night of my leaving him again and for good this time. I'm 52. I don't want the last years of my life to be wasted worrying and fighting over the past and the what could happen again in the future.